guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going through my 25 books I want to read in 2025. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it, but before I do, I'm just going to preface this by saying that most of these books I own, they are on my physical TBR. That's just how I chose to do this. So they're not all like, I don't know, I feel like people do 25 of 25 or 2025 a little differently. It depends. Some it's like they're most like that they're most excited to get to, or you know, most anticipated, whatever, like, oh, I have to read these books, yada yada yada. This is kind of just a Mod Podge combination for me, I guess, but a lot are on my physical TBR, so these are some of the ones that I'm more excited about, or a couple of them might just be like shorter books or whatnot. Just a Mod Podge. So that being said, let's get into it. First one on my list for 2025 is Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale. Many people know Kristen Hanna. She's a very, very famous historical fiction author. I've only read one book by her. I wasn't that impressed, honestly, but I also don't think it's one of her more acclaimed novels that I read. I found this one pretty cheap, so I got it, and this is one that I have heard the most hype about. Do I know much what it's about? No. World War II era, following two sisters. That's pretty much all I know about it. So we will see. Everybody says they cry during this, so place your bets. Will I cry? Will I not? I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. Don't know if she's an author for me or not, but I'm going to check this one out this year, hopefully. Book number 2 I also own, but it is currently wrapped up in my little blind date with the book TBR. So that is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles, Scarlet. This is by Marissa Meyer. The Lunar Chronicles is a YA sci-fi fairy tale retelling series, which is a pretty interesting, wacky idea, I feel like. But I enjoyed the first one, so I'm wanting to continue on with the series. I've got the second one, like I said, and this one follows Little Red Riding Hood. I know this is a bit of an older series. I'm kind of late to the game on a lot of stuff, if y'all hadn't noticed, but yeah, I want to get to this one this year. The next one might be me being a little bit overly ambitious because I haven't finished the second one yet because I'm reading it with my daughter, but I would like to finish that one and then to also get through this one, which we'll see. This is the third in the Wing Feather Saga by Andrew Peterson. This one is called The Monster in the Hollows. I'm not going to be too upset if we don't get to this one or read through this one because, I mean, we're a bit over halfway. It's just very slow going when you're reading it with a almost 5-year-old. So we'll see how that goes. Another one that I put on here because I thought I would finish the first book last year, and I almost did. I was so close, but then, yeah, sickness and stuff, and so I didn't, and I still haven't finished it yet because I just have not been reading well at all lately, but I'm almost done with it, so I should finish it this month, and that's The Fellowship of the Ring. So I want to read The Two Towers this year by J.R.R. Tolkien. We'll see if I read the second book in the Lord of the Rings series this year. I would like to still, even though that one came over to this year. I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like since the story's already started and we're like, you know, I know where it's going, that this one would just be a little bit more interesting and fast-paced anyway, but I don't know. We will see. The next one I want to read is Brave New World by Alex Huxley. I have been told that this one is, like, in comparison to 1984, they're both very similar and what they're like aiming for with the whole, oh my goodness, I can't think of the word right now. But anyway, there are definitely some things in 1984 that everybody's like, oh, this is so like what we're dealing with. You're starting to see this come true. And I've heard from people who have read both of them that this one is a little bit more accurate to specific things that are happening than 1984 is. So it just really intrigued me to read this one, but I've yet to get to it. I want to read it. It was put on my TBR this month. Will that happen? I've been really slumpy this month, guys, so we'll see, but it's still very high priority for this year. And then the next one is The Atonement Child by Francine Rivers. Francine Rivers is a really popular Christian author, fiction author, I guess. But I have not really been that interested in any of her work. Most, or at least the big ones that I hear about, are biblical fiction. I don't really read biblical fiction. I have a video on that if you want to go read why, or listen to why. But this one specifically was recommended to me by a friend and coworker that I volunteer at a pregnancy center with, and it is all about like that, like she gets pregnant through a rape. So this actually intrigued me. I was like, well, that would be the one story I would be very interested to read by her, and it's not biblical fiction. So found it at a store, picked it up, and now I'm excited to read it and see how it is, because I can kind of get a feel of her writing style and, you know, storytelling and stuff through this without having to read biblical fiction that I don't want to read, so I can see what the hype is about while still reading something I'm interested in. So I know you can't hardly see there it is, the actual name of the book. Her name is so big. All right, and the next book is Toxic Empathy, How Progressives Exploit Christian Compassion. This is by Allie Beth Stuckley, and I am so excited to read this book this year. So very excited. Yeah, if you haven't heard of Allie Beth Stuckley, she has a podcast, a show. Maybe it's just a show. I don't even know. And I don't watch that often because those things are so long. But she's a Christian. Oh, it does say podcast. It does say podcast. Yeah, and she talks about different like things politically, but always coming from the like biblical perspective. And so this kind of dives into, should empathy drive Christians' politics and stuff like that? And I think it was actually released like a month before the election and all that stuff. So the sections on it are like little lies that are told, and she goes into it. So there's like love is one, social justice is one. Very interested. I love political stuff, if y'all didn't know that, so I'm excited about this. Next one is Tracy Bach's new book, Love and Other Chances. I'll put a picture up if I have a picture. I don't think she's actually released the cover for this yet, and I don't know when it's coming out this year. She is supposed to be releasing more information about it within like the next couple weeks here, I think, but I do know it's coming out this year. And it is it's in the same universe as Love and Other Goals, which is one of my favorite books from last year. She's a newer indie author. That was her like debut novel. So I'm really excited about this one because it follows our main character, the main female character in that one of her best friends. She had like two best friends, and they all lived together. Were they in a sorority home? I think they might have been in a sorority home. I'm trying to remember details. I'm bad at that sometimes. But anyway, so she said that there's going to be like kind of like a trilogy, but it's like one of those interconnected standalone romance. So I'm really excited about that one, but I don't know when it's going to come out yet. But it's definitely a top priority for me this year. All right, the next two, actually 9 and 10, are both Agatha Christie books. I enjoy Agatha Christie. I used to like love her when I first started reading her, but I found that most of her books are more like 3 to 3.75 stars for me, and some of them are like 4 to 5 stars. So she's not like top tier as she was when I started reading her, and I think that's just because I started off with some of her best books, but I still really enjoy her writing, and it's a nice little fun mystery novel, kind of like a buffer in between books sometimes. So I still have quite a few that I need to get through. So I put 2 on this list that I'm a little bit more interested on for my physical TBR. Those are wrapped right now, I believe. So I have The Secret Adversary and then Hickory Dickory Death, I believe. So I'll like put a picture up of them, but those are the 2 Agatha Christie's that I have on this list. And the next one I have is War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I enjoyed The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. Not The Invisible Man, oh my gosh. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells when I was in high school. Really enjoyed that one. And I recently read The Invisible Man by him. That was okay, a little bit slower, little bit, I mean, H.G. Wells kind of does write like some more slower paced work, but this in particular is a sci-fi about aliens, and I think he was one of the first ones to kind of like introduce this and to kind of like start this movement within sci-fi. I'm not entirely sure on all the details, but I've heard like he was one of the first with this, so I'm really interested to kind of see, because I like the ideas of like the scientific side of sci-fi that he's done in his books, but I definitely do think he's been a little bit slow paced sometimes, and at least in The Time Machine I felt like we got more substance from it, but in The Invisible Man I just felt like there wasn't as much. So I don't know, they were just a little bit different for me, because I think Time Machine was more in the 4-star range and Invisible Man was more in 3-star. But I'm very interested to kind of check out this whole vibe. I've never read anything, that's not true. I have read something with aliens. I lied. But I've only read like one other thing with aliens. It's not something that I've really dived into. So I'm excited about this. The next one, which I believe is number 12, is Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis. This is one of his fiction works, but this one is based off a Greek myth, I believe. So this is also one that I physically own, but is wrapped up. I don't know much else about it. I can't remember the Greek myth off the top of my head, but I love C.S. Lewis's work, and I'm very much excited to read another one. So, and the next one is The Girl Who Drank the Moon. This is a middle grade novel, I believe, and I don't even remember when and why I got this one, but I've had it for a while and I just want to get through it, and it's a short like middle grade one, so it's got a really pretty cover. I don't know if I'll like it or not, we'll see, but yeah. Next one, another one that's basically just kind of short, and I just, you know, wanted to throw it on here because I have had it for a little bit, is The Bobbsey Twins Adventure in the Country by Laura Lee Hope. I got this because it reminded me of the old Nancy Drew stuff. It's like literally the same kind of, I don't know, hardback binding or whatnot. I hadn't heard of this series before, but it's like a children's literature type thing. Ooh, and I lose my place. As I lose my place. There we go. I have already started this one because I picked it for my TBR this month. I'm trying to find where I was. I don't remember. But yeah, children's little easy read. Trying to get through my TBR, guys. I have too many books. Next is Picnic at Hanging Rock. I think this is by Joan Lindsay. This is a classic that I don't know much about. It's a classic that I found for really cheap, and I picked it up and was like, classic, you know? But this is not one that I know anything about, and I also don't know the author. So I'm a little nervous about that, but I've had it for years, so I really want to get it off my shelf. And then next is Journaling Through the Psalms. Also don't know who did the journaling part of this. I can't remember the name, but it's basically the Psalms, and then it just has like little journaling prompts with each Psalm. So I'm reading through the Psalms and then doing a journaling prompt. I have already gotten through almost 100 pages of this or so last year, but I want to finish it this year basically because I've been very slow with that. That's been something entirely different from like my Bible stuff. So next is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I've gotten this on my TBR a couple of times now. I also got it this month. Again, I might not get it to it this month though because of the slump and difficulty I've been having with reading this month, but it is one that I want to read. Pride and Prejudice is a very well-renowned classic that like everybody knows, and almost everybody, if they haven't read the book, has watched the movie. And thanks to a friend, I have actually watched the movie when I was a later teenager. Finally watched it. But sorry, there's like a page that's bent. You see that? The next one is The Baxters. I believe this is like the prequel to the whole series. It's just the one that I happened to pick up, which, you know, at least I didn't pick up like the 10th in the series or anything. And this is by Karen Kingsbury. I've read one Karen Kingsbury book and I liked it decently well. I was kind of surprised with how much I liked it, but it was a more political book. So we'll see how I like something that's not so political. She's very well loved in the Christian fiction world though. So we will see it. This is one of her most popular series, I believe. So, and then the next one is I Think He Knows by Katie Bailey. This is one that I got for Christmas, and so I want to try to get to it as soon as possible. And it is just a nice, fun romantic comedy, and I do believe Katie Bailey, from all of my research and everything I've seen, is supposed to be clean, closed-door author. So hopefully we don't have to deal with any content. The next one I would like to read this year is Image Bearers, an anthology. This is by many different authors. It is an anthology that you will find works that celebrate life no matter the size or capability by the following authors. So there's like a bunch of short stories, and there's 41 in here. Is that right? Yeah, 41 short stories, a dedication forward, and then a ending thoughts section. So it's a little bit of a chonker, but it is short stories. So I'm hoping to start it pretty soon here because January is Sanctity of Life month, if you don't know. So I really do want to get and read quite a few of these this month. And I think this might help me with my reading a little bit because it's a bunch of little short stories, so I feel like I might be able to get back into it by reading little things and still feeling accomplished. That's my hope. But yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous cover too. It's kind of got like a, I'm not sure if you can see, but like a pink and a blue watercolor in between it too. So very pretty. The one I got for Christmas is A Midsummer Night, #NoFilter. I already talked about this in my book haul, but it is William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, but it is what do you call it? Edited or whatnot, I don't know, redone by Brett Wright, and basically it is put into text messages entirely. So it's fun. I like these books. This will be my second reading of these types of books. I read YOLO Juliet. I'm not a Shakespeare fan, so I prefer to read it this way and still get the story, the main like plot points and everything without having to dread through his awful writing. So another one I'm super excited about is The Secret of Avigdor. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but Redemption Pirates, Book 1. This is by Channy Hobson. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing. I'm not good at names, but this one sounds really interesting. When me and my husband kind of like read the synopsis and everything, we came to the conclusion that it kind of seemed like a Christian fantasy version of Lost with pirates. That's just kind of like the impression we got from it. Will it be anything like that? I will let you know when I read it, but I'm excited about it. So, all right, down to the last 3, and these are all 3 that I do not own, so I will be putting pictures up. But the first one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is by Heather Fonnet. This is a really popular one, and I know most people have already read this one. Like, this was popular a few years back. I think they already have a second one in the series out. This is supposed to be a little bit more chill of a fantasy, kind of like a cozy fantasy, I think. And this is my BFF's book club pick for the month. One of my friends picked it, and I mean, this is a really hyped book, so when I have the opportunity and a reason to read a hype book and actually let you know from a more biblical perspective, is it worth the hype? I love to do it. So this is one that I'm hoping is not going to be too bad. I haven't really heard anything, like, I haven't really heard anything content-wise on this one, so I'm hoping it's going to be fine. Another one that is also one of the picks for the book club is A Man Called Ove, and that is by Frederick Bachman. This is actually one of my picks because I've been very interested to read something by Frederick Bachman, and I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. Bachman, who knows? So I'm excited about this one. I can't remember what months we're reading this one off the top of my head, but I am excited for it. So this one, I went ahead and put Reckless by Lauren Roberts on here. I read Powerless last year and I really loved it. I really did enjoy it. I was kind of surprised because there's such a hype around it, but I really enjoyed it, mainly for the banter, you know, and the romance and banter that was happening. It's top tier to me. And so I have not read the second book yet, and I know the third is coming out this year, but I want to at least get to the second book. I'm assuming that once I read the second book, I'll probably want to read the third book, so I'm kind of trying to wait until closer to the release date of the third one so that I can more easily get my hands on it if I need to read it right away. So that is every book, all the 25 books that I want to read in the year 2025. Will I read all of these? I do not know. There are a few that I very may well not read. We will see. Like I said, the Wing Feather Saga, especially since we haven't finished that second one and I'm reading it with my child. That's kind of very up in the air, but it was fun to just make a list and to kind of have like a goal, and I'm sure it'll be fun to like go through most of them, if not all of them, you know, and mark them off. And most all of them except for I think 4 are all on my physical TBR, so it also helps me on that goal for the year. So, and obviously I'm not going to tell you to go ahead and like write down 25 books that you want to read this year. That's like a lot of work and a lot to comment. But you know, if you want to share maybe 1 or 2, something that you're interested to read this year, or that you really hope you get to this year, or something that you'd like me to read this year, be free to let me know in the comments, and I will hopefully see you guys in another video very soon. Thank you guys for watching.